In 2016, Disney Animation released Moana, a delightful and charming story about a Polynesian chief's daughter going on an adventure in search of the demigod Maui to save her island. After that movie's success, a sequel seemed like a possibility, and now Moana 2 has reached screens, although its development was an unusual one. Disney originally announced they were going to produce a series for Disney+, but then earlier this year it was revealed that it had been turned into a movie to be released in theaters. With that understanding of the production, how does this next oceanic adventure fare? The movie does slide right back into the South Pacific, and Moana remains an endearing heroine. They made the decision to age up the characters a bit here, which allows for a new aspect as Moana becomes this explorer traversing even further through the oceans. The family dynamic is nicely portrayed here, including a younger sister being added to the cast. And one of the most enjoyable elements comes from the new characters who join her on this adventure to stop her curse. They each feel distinct and bring their own joys to the roles, my favorite being Lotto, voiced by New Zealand comedian Rose Matafeo. I credit that largely to her delivery, although I've noticed that people from New Zealand have this natural ability of making something even more humorous than it is on the page. Abigail Barlow and Emily Beer serve as the principal songwriters, filling in for Lin-Manuel Miranda, although they successfully managed to capture his style with their tunes here. While I don't think they necessarily reach the heights of How Far I'll Go and You're Welcome, these are nonetheless enjoyable songs. My personal favorite of the bunch is Beyond, Moana's I Want song, which has the necessary power, helped even further by Ali Carvalho's performance. The animation remains beautiful with the environments looking very vibrant, and I particularly want to compliment the character animation on Moana herself. We see someone who's even more confident, and the animators give her a lot of energy and charm with her facial expressions. A nice detail I notice is that when she belts out the songs, she really does look like she's singing them with all of her might. The creature designs showcase a lot of creativity too, with some fun new animals the characters encounter out on the ocean. And by the way, if you were disappointed the pig did not go on the journey the first time, you'll be happy to know he actually does take part in the sequel. The film is pretty entertaining for the most part, but I curiously found one of the weaker aspects to be Maui. When he shows up, I thought the story got less interesting as he sort of takes over the spotlight. I was having so much fun with Moana's new companions that his antics sort of got in the way. He never annoyed me, but it feels like he's here because he was a central character in the first one, and you cannot have Moana 2 without him. I mentioned a curse as the reason for Moana taking this journey, but it's primarily a MacGuffin to get the plot into motion, and there is not a sense of the ticking clock like in the first movie. There's a woman with a bat theme who appears and initially seems like she'll be a major threat for the heroes, but does not become all that important. Like I said, this originally started life as a television series, and it does surprise me the plan was not to produce a theatrical sequel from the beginning. However, it is rather obvious the parts that were meant to begin and end each episode. The majority of people going into Moana 2 won't be familiar with the production history of the film and likely won't notice, but those who do will be able to pinpoint the episode breaks. Moana 2 is overall fine, but considering how much I enjoyed the first movie, which remains a delight on multiple viewings, I expected more than fine. It's a pleasant enough experience, and I particularly like hanging out with Moana again, but the story is fairly standard in its execution. Watching the first act, I thought this was going to be another Disney animated sequel that came close to reaching the quality of its predecessor, but as the film played on, the flaws became more apparent. I hope I don't sound too down on the movie, because I still enjoyed my experience watching it, and for those looking for an entertaining animated diversion, this does the job. I just wonder if the project would have been a lot better served if it actually began life as a sequel rather than being retrofitted into one late into the production. Next year, we'll see the release of Zootopia 2, which was always intended as a theatrical sequel, so that gives me hope for that one. And then we'll reportedly get an original film from Walt Disney Animation Studios before returning to Arendelle for Frozen 3. I would say if you're a fan of the first Moana, there is a decent amount to appreciate in the sequel, including a few of the new characters and the songs. However, if they make Moana 3, they should plan as a movie from the start next time.